Hello friends, welcome or welcome back to my channel. My name is Danny and today we are here for my autumnal TBR. I don't normally do seasonal TBRs and the reason for that is I don't really get on with most seasons. Autumn and fall is kind of my jam. I like the cold mornings but still like not bitter cold days, and I like the changing of the leaves. It's always, this is my favorite season. So as far as atmosphere and vibes go, I definitely get along more with autumn and maybe even some winter reads. Spring and summer reads, like those cheery kind of light stories, aren't necessarily for me. So I decided to do a TBR to tell you guys what's going on this autumn. What do I have plans? What are the books that are in my head? I do have 3 different categories in this and 13 different books because how could I not? And the first category is of course horror. I will have some scary reads that I want to get through mostly in the month of October, but I will probably bring some of them into November because I won't be able to get to all of them in October. And then, because I will also have like a regular October TBR as well. But the second grouping that I have for you guys is mysteries / thrillers. I also have like a fantasy mystery in there. And then the third category I have is miscellaneous / cozy books. We will do the horror category first, and the book that I have for you guys is The Girl in the Bog. I have talked to you about this before on my channel. It was in the third quarter anticipated releases video that I did, which if you enjoy those types of videos, there is an anticipated releases video coming this coming Saturday for the 4th quarter of the year. But for now, this is one from the 3rd quarter that I haven't gotten to yet, and I am just really excited about it. It follows Irish mythology, and which I don't know. I don't know the myths and folklore surrounding the bogs in Ireland, but somehow this farmer who is out harvesting his crop uncovers a 2,000-year-old body, and she ends up coming back to life. And with her comes, like, all hell breaks loose in this village. And I don't know, it sounds really intriguing. It's one of my most anticipated releases of the year, and I think my library just got a copy, so I can finally read it. The next book I've had on multiple TBRs before, but I just haven't gotten to it, and that is Fantasticland. I've heard absolutely phenomenal things about the story. The only main thing I know about the book is that it is set in a theme park and it's a horror story. I think that these people get stuck in the theme park for a day, and there's like a news story about it after some of them get out. Obviously some of them don't get out. So I am intrigued by the storyline. The other horror read that I had, or that I have read with theme parks in mind, was Hide. And I loved the premise, but I did not like the execution of that book. So I'm hoping that this one will scratch an itch for horror novels set in theme parks, because I love that setting. Next we have Graveyard Shift. I heard of this from Kirsten's channel, and I missed this on, I don't think I put this on my anticipated releases list for the 3rd quarter, because this is another new release, and it comes out this month in September. So I'm pretty sure. I'll put like the publication date up on the screen so you guys can see that, but I think it's September 24th if I remember correctly. But anyway, in this book you follow 5 individuals who all work the late shift of a graveyard, and they all come from different backgrounds, which sounds interesting to me, that these people who, because like I know one of them was a bartender, I can't remember what the other careers were, but they all did other things for a living, and then they also worked the late shift at this graveyard. And they come across an open grave one evening, a grave that shouldn't exist, like that's not in the schedule to be dug, and there's like someone has been digging a grave that shouldn't be there. And so this group of people kind of have to come together to solve that mystery. There's something to do with the what's the person called who watches the graveyard, but the person who's in control of like actually the groundskeeper, they think that he might have something to do with it. I don't know. It sounds intriguing, and I don't know if this is going to be like cozy, campy, quirky horror, or if it's going to be scary, but I'm game either way. Next, I have a physical TBR book, and that is The Call of Cthulhu. I have these really nice cloth-bound editions of H.P. Lovecraft's work. A lot of H.P. Lovecraft's work. I don't have all of them, obviously, but I think there's 6 of these, and I haven't read any of them yet, and they're super short. I want to read H.P. Lovecraft because I want to know the inspiration for so many of the monsters that I have loved in horror. One of the reasons I specifically want to read The Call to Cthulhu is because this has inspired some of the monsters that were created in World of Warcraft. I know there are so many different things that I could reference, but World of Warcraft is a massive RPG game online that I played when I was in high school, and I have played it as an adult, like at various stages of my life. And it's just always intrigued me where these monsters came from. And so I finally want to see what the inspiration was for those. The last horror book that I have on this list is Gollitok, which I had no idea this book even existed, but I was recently on Michaela Reed's channel listening to a video of hers that was on like the most recent or 5 most recent reads that she's really enjoyed. And it just sounded really intriguing. Sounds like a creepy atmosphere, spooky vibes. It is about a man who travels to an island, and this island houses an abandoned prison. And he shortly realizes that, I guess they went there to like survey the land and figure out like what the state of the prison is. And they really shortly realize that there's something more dangerous going on and some hidden secrets going on within the island and the prison. It gives me like Jurassic Park / like haunted house, but like haunted prison vibes. And I don't know. I think I'm going to eat this story up. Moving on to the mystery category, the first book in this is actually a book I'm going to be starting next week, which is the first week of fall officially. So I am excited, and that is Cabaret Macabre. This is the 3rd book in the Tom Mead series, Joseph Spector. So it's the Joseph Spector series, which follows a detective who typically asks Joseph Spector for help solving these locked door mysteries. So I don't know what this mystery is going to entail. The previous 2 have been locked door. Maybe this one will just be a murder mystery. I'm not exactly sure, but the locked door mysteries have been really fun. I especially like Joseph Spector's character. He is an illusionist, so he's not a police officer at all, but he is someone who knows tricks of the trade, especially for locked doors and illusions. And so he does get asked by the police to help in certain situations. And what I like about his character is I am not the type of person in a mystery that tries to connect the dots. I'm most of the time just along for the vibes. Like, I'm along for the ride, and I want to enjoy my time. And I do want the mystery to make sense at the end, but I'm not trying to see pieces. I'm not trying to solve the murder. And what I like about these is Joseph Spector does a really good job of hinting to the reader and hinting to the detective that, like, hey, you should probably pay attention to what just happened. And he doesn't always give it away. He doesn't always say specifically why it's important. He'll let you form the pieces together yourself if you want to. But then there is always a moment in time where he'll talk about why something is important, which I have appreciated. So I'm excited to get back into this series. The next is the Scandalous Confessions of Lydia, Bennett, Witch. This is a Pride Prejudice retelling, which I'm a little hesitant about because Pride and Prejudice is not my favorite book, but I do like it when authors can take a classic story, one that is very well known and very well loved by people, and play with it a little bit, especially if there's a fantasy element to it. So this features Lydia Bennett, who is writing the story, I think, of Pride and Prejudice, like the main storyline, but there are going to be different things at play. So it says that her favorite sister, Kitty, is actually a barn cat. Wickham is actually as evil as everyone thinks he is, because he's a demon. And then Mr. Darcy is really uptight about etiquette, but even more so about magic, which causes some issues. It also talks about how she doesn't realize that promises come with power, or promises have power, something along those lines. So I'm excited to see how we take this classic tale and manipulate it a little bit. Next, I have We Solve Murders by Richard Osman. This is an author I have wanted to give a try for, or another try, for a long time. I have read, or I DNF'd The Thursday Murder Club, it just wasn't for me. I wasn't connecting with the characters, which is really sad because I love an older protagonist and I liked the premise behind the Thursday Murder Clubs, but I just couldn't get on with it. So I hope that this book will allow me to love Richard Osman as much as everyone else does. I know that this features a retired detective. He is completely out of the game, enjoying his life, but some type of relation, a daughter, or maybe a daughter-in-law, is a private security person and runs across a dead body. There are some dangerous things at play where she's at, and she reaches out for help, and he is the one she calls for help. So I don't know. I think fingers crossed, this will be the one for me that works. Next is another new release, which is The Vampire of King Street. The only thing I know about this is, so it's fantasy mystery, and it is about a vampire who gets accused of murder that he supposedly didn't commit. And so he goes to a lawyer, and I think you're following the lawyer's perspective, where this lawyer has to figure out, how do I defend a vampire, of all people, of this murder that definitely looks like he committed. And I love that premise. I think that putting vampires and supernatural creatures in our world and having them have to like meet our laws and conform to societal norms, I just think is a fantastic premise. And so I can't wait to get to this one. The last mystery book is Killers of a Certain Age, and this was actually recommended to me by all of you. I recently did the video on the fact that I really like an older female protagonist. It's something that I have enjoyed in so many books recently, and so it is a trend I would like to continue with in my reading to see if, I found something that I'm going to continue to love. And the only thing I know about this is I think it's a group of elderly women who, I don't know if they are murders or they help solve murders. That I kind of don't want to know. I kind of just want to go in blind because I've heard that it's really fun, it's really lighthearted, and I'm going to need that with some of the more dark horror novels that I have on my list. Speaking of lighthearted, I am now into the miscellaneous/cozy section of this list, and the first book on this is No One Leaves the Castle, I think is what it's called. This is a middle grade recommended to me by Leandra, and it features a girl whose name is Lilac, I think. Or I think they called her the Lilac in the synopsis. And supposedly she is a famous bounty hunter of lore, or that's how her best friend has written her in these songs. Her best friend is considered a bard, I guess. And the Lilac really wants to be a bounty hunter. And she finds out that some type of hunter, some type of like big bad person, monster hunter. I think he's a monster hunter. I think that's right. He's a monster hunter, and he loses, or someone steals, an artifact from his house. And so Lilac and her best friend, the bard, go after this artifact and are trying to prove, themselves worthy. It sounds really cute, and it involves, I think, a monster hunter and some other like supernatural beings. And so I'm excited to get to this little middle grade. Next is Full Speed to a Crash Landing. This is a space opera / romance, which I need more of this genre blend in my life. I recently read the entire series, Starlight Shadow, which starts with Hunt the Stars, which is a space opera romance, and I just ate it up. And so I do like that type of romance, apparently. This features a main character whose name is, I think it's Ada. She is the captain of a ship that is wrecked out in the universe, and there is another ship that comes by to save her, picks her up, and doesn't quite trust her. So there's something odd about Ada, and they don't really know what it is. And you also know that she's not quite what she seems, but I'm not sure what perspective we're gonna get. If we're gonna get her perspective and we're gonna know why she's there, or if we're gonna try and figure out this mystery along with the rest of the crew. So I can't wait to find out. The last book, the 13th book on this list, is The Witchwood Knot, and this is an Olivia Atwater, which I have only read one book by this author, which was Half a Soul, and I really did enjoy it. It was super sweet. I didn't continue with the series for whatever reason, not because I didn't enjoy myself, I don't think I've ever been in the mood to pick it up again, but this is set in the same world. And I don't think the original series, The Half a Soul, I think the books that went with that were all standalone books. I think. Someone correct me if I'm wrong. But this is set in the same world, and it's set in Victorian England. There is an estate and the young lord, so the kind of young master, ends up going missing, and he's replaced by a log. I'm not sure if I got that right in the description, but it was like he's replaced by a piece of wood. And the I don't know if it's a housekeeper or if she was like his nanny or something. She's the person who's taking care of him. And she realizes he's been replaced by a piece of wood, and she's not an idiot. So she knows the Fae took him. And so she goes to the actual lord of the house and tells him, but he doesn't believe in fairies. He's like the only person in the realm that doesn't believe that fairies exist. And so she has to take it upon herself to go and save her young lord. And I don't know, I've liked Olivia Atwater before. I do think her writing is very cozy, and I just think that this will be a glorious read whenever I need a break from the horrifying and the scary, to pick this up and, like, I don't know, cover up with a blanket, some hot chocolate by a fire. I think this sounds glorious. So those are the 13 books that I plan on reading sometime within the fall season. I am really excited about this list, and I think I've provided myself with a little bit of scary, a little bit of intrigue, and a little bit of cozy to go around, so I can give myself a little bit of reprieve whenever I need it. What books are you guys excited about this autumn season? Are you not a seasonal reader? Do you just typically just mood read, or do you tend to be swayed with the seasons? Let me know in the comments down below. If you don't feel like being chatty today, just leave me a little autumn leaf, or if there aren't autumn leaves, just leave me a leaf so I know that you're here in the comments. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope you have a lovely evening, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.